Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of Journeys Through Collection by James Talisman, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue: The Teachers. All the attendees sat in anticipation for the wonderful event about to unfold. For most of the entities sitting in the grand auditorium, multiple lifetimes of experience had finally brought them to this special time and place. As each one sat waiting in their plush seat, they marveled at the massive room they were privileged to be in. Beautiful granite and marble walls inlaid with gold and silver symbols surrounded them on all sides. The luminous lighting that shone from above provided both perfect illumination and a soothing effect. From the amphitheater adorned with elaborate and plush seats, those present looked ahead to the magnificent wooden stage before them. Made of the finest woods found throughout the multiverse, the stage with its wooden adornments and marble pillars was truly spectacular to observe. With the auditorium almost full, a brilliant globe of energy appeared about 6 feet above the stage floor, centered perfectly in the middle of the stage. Soon, the magnificent golden globe transformed into a dazzling star shape emanating countless colors in all directions. All those in attendance stared in awe at the incredible display of light as it began to take on the form of a humanoid figure. The bright golden light metamorphosed into a being displaying an ancient royal nature and presence. Neither male or female, this powerful and strikingly beautiful entity poured forth a love vibration that radiated out over the entire amphitheater. The entity, adorned in a breathtaking robe made of exquisite material interwoven with various shades of dazzling colors, looked out over the numerous beings seated in the auditorium. It is such a pleasure to be here at this time and place. Of my many roles, this act is one of my most favorite. At one point, each and everyone in this grand room made a decision to devote their eternal existence to be of service to all creation. That selfless choice and the enormous time devoted to learning the ancient ways and associated skills has brought each of you here. In many ways, I truly envy the experiences, adventures, and journeys all those present will embody and embark upon. The celestial ruler nodded and remembered adventures throughout the multiverse of space and time before looking out over the future masters seated. It is now time for each being here to begin building the new relationships and connections that will have tremendous impact on all creation. Your efforts and future contributions are so appreciated by the all that is and all those who serve creation. An exquisite wooden chest appeared with an ancient but magnificent wooden table beside the celestial being. The ancient entity opened the chest and took out one of the many gold and silver medallions that filled the chest and held it up to the adepts seated throughout the amphitheater. As a symbol of the immense sacrifice and dedication you each embody, each new master will receive a talisman inscribed with the tree of life and other sacred symbols that represent who and what you are. I now request that each of you come to the stage to collect your talisman and blessing. Welcome to the multiverse. Welcome to the Crotonian Empire. The morning air was cool and moist in their nostrils as they breathed while staring across the field towards the maniple of infantry troops assembled for the imminent battle. Each of these seasoned warriors had trained for this and numerous other battles since their early teen years. Adrenaline burst forth as they anticipated the upcoming call for yet another engagement with foreigners trying to change their fundamental beliefs and take the lands that rightfully belonged to them. These frontline soldiers were among the highest caliber to serve the Crotonian Empire, and Cassius was proud to be one of them. He had spent most of the preceding night sharpening his blades and preparing his gear. The scutum felt good in his hand along with the weapons strapped to his sash. As Cassius steadied his mind for battle, the cornemuse sounded off. The Crotonian army's front guard began their march down the hill and across the field to engage the opposing forces. The distance between the two advancing forces closed as battle cries welled up from both sides. As was the case for countless other battles, the most elite warriors from both fighting forces would engage first. A decisive conquest of the enemy at the start of battle resulted in a psychological victory for the successors, and almost always guaranteed triumph in the end. Many yards of distance were reduced to a few feet as the elite forces began to battle each other. Swords swung towards their opponent as the sound of weapons pounding into shields began to ring out across the battlefield. Cries of agony reverberated as razor-sharp metal tore into flesh. While many well-planned strategies were in play during this confrontation, it seemed almost like chaos when viewed from afar. The killing between these adversaries did not feel right for some reason, and the dichotomy between war and peace revealed itself during the most intense moments of battle. Cassius struggled with these very thoughts even as he swung his blade at the approaching enemy soldier. Thoughts such as, why am I trying to kill another soul? And what true purpose does all this fighting serve? Filled Cassius's mind as he executed the killing moves and counterblows that years of training had made automatic. I must let go of these thoughts and concentrate on the task at hand, thought Cassius as he countered yet another mighty blow with his scutum and swung his deadly blade down onto the shoulder of his opponent. Blood from the wounded soldier flew into Cassius's face and eyes as the severed artery shot blood out in all directions. Temporarily blinded by the warm blood, he instinctively moved his shield into a position to protect his head and upper body. Violently shaking his head to remove the blood from his eyes, he swung his body and sword around 180 degrees to strike a blow at the enemy soldier who flanked him. The move caught the foreigner by surprise, as Cassius's swinging blade removed the enemy soldier's head from his body. The sight of the enemy soldier's head flying through the air gave Cassius a slight pause. He quickly regained composure and once again began the next advance on the oncoming forces. As Cassius ran towards the enemy, a paralyzing ring echoed in his head while an all-encompassing dizziness took over and made him drop to the ground. For a moment, the frenetic sound of battle left Cassius's head as blackness and silence took over. Now in the void of his inner mind, Cassius saw a bright light and heard a voice say, I am sorry, but I must leave you for a while. Please do not forget what you have learned. You will survive this. Cassius opened his eyes to find his friend and fellow combatant standing above him with his hand stretched out to help him off the ground. Brutus yelled, Rise quickly, my friend. There is still a battle to finish. With the helping hand, Cassius quickly got back to his feet. The sound and sight of battle once again filled his senses. Teaming up, Cassius and Brutus made a swath through the advancing soldiers, leaving a bloody trail of dead and wounded bodies in their wake. The superb fighting skills of the Crotonian army's front guard was helping secure victory over these foreigners. Seeing the devastation of their elite soldiers lying about the battlefield, the rear-line Thespian soldiers began to instinctively move back. A barrage of arrows coming from the Crotonian army's archers descended upon the retreating soldiers like a torrential downpour of rain. Razor-sharp blades from these airborne weapons ripped through the troops as screams of agony rang out and bodies dropped to the ground. Soon after the second round of devastation riddled the second line of defense with lethal arrow penetrations, the sound of retreat was given by the Thespian command. The foreign troops began a full withdrawal back to the lands they had come from. After cheers of victory sounded from the Crotonian soldiers, the task of retrieving their wounded and dead began. Thank you so much, brother, for saving me out there, a grateful Cassius spoke as he slapped his best friend on the back. Who would I have to celebrate this victory with if I had not? Laughed Brutus as he walked away to help with the cleanup. Welcome to the Earthverse. The strike was solid and powerful as Matt's forearm and back fist hit the training pad held by his training partner, Dan. Damn, you can hit hard, dude, Dan exclaimed as he grunted and moved backwards from the force of Matt's blow. A slight grin came over Matt's face as he prepared for his next 180-degree back fist into the pad. At 5'11" and a solid 180 pounds, Matt was indeed an imposing figure, but his strength seemed almost unnatural at times. A grunt and groan escaped Dan's mouth again as the next powerful back fist swing landed on the training pad he was holding. At 6'2" and 240 pounds, Dan was a huge presence. Let's prepare for some calisthenics, yelled the Krav Maga instructor. With the training equipment stored away, everyone lined up in rows and columns to begin the grueling exercises that were a main staple at the training facility. Moans and groans could be heard throughout the room as each intensive exercise was performed. Within 15 minutes, every member was drenched in sweat from the exercise routines that strengthened the muscle groups associated with hand-to-hand combat. Along with the basic knee strikes, palm heel strikes, and front kick movements, the group performed knuckle push-ups, bear crawls in place, burpees, and jumping jacks. With everyone breathing hard from the extensive workout, the instructor yelled out, "Time for a few laps around the complex before we call it quits for the night." With that, all the members filed out the door to begin the run around the building complex the Krav Maga Training Center was part of. Winded from the workout, Matt was still feeling in prime condition as he ran out the door onto the parking lot outside. Inhaling and exhaling the cool Colorado mountain air, Matt surged ahead towards the group of runners in the lead. As Matt closed in on the lead runners, he started to feel very dizzy. A loud ringing began in his head as blackness took over and he dropped to the ground. Drifting off into the black void of unconsciousness, he saw a bright light in his mind. "I'm sorry, I must leave you for a while. Please remember your lessons from the past. It is very important that you do," rang through Matt's mind as he struggled to regain consciousness. "Hey, you all right, man?" said Dan as he helped Matt get up from the ground. "Yeah, I think I'm okay now. Thanks," Matt assured his friend as he got back up on his feet. "What the hell happened?" "I'm not quite sure, but I feel okay now," Matt assured his longtime friend. "I probably hit you too hard during practice tonight," laughed Dan as he smacked Matt on the shoulder. "Doubt that, buddy. You seem to be the one taking a beating earlier," shot back Matt as he fake punched Dan in the gut. Welcome to the Estonian Empire. The mid-morning sun's warmth felt good on Queen Nefertiti's body as she gazed out over her lands and the wonderful society she helped create. Draped in a light silken tunic, the slight breeze helped her cool from the arid desert surrounding the capital city. The queen marveled at all the incredible monuments in the distance. Many of the cenotaphs had been built to honor ancestors in her own lineage. Born as the only legitimate heir to King Salametes, Queen Nefertiti had ruled the Isonian Empire for over 10 years. Even as a child, the queen had a keen ability to understand complex concepts associated with the engineering and scientific disciplines. Due to his daughter's innate abilities for the sciences, King Salametes made sure she had the best training possible to develop her natural talents. In addition, the queen studied the ancient esoteric wisdom associated with the alchemy of mind and the composition of true reality. Legend spoke of these ancient teachings and how they were part of creation from the beginning of time on the planet Eurasa. Utilizing her innate abilities and her knowledge of the ancient teachings, Queen Nefertiti helped usher in the greatest period the Isonian Empire had ever experienced, and her subjects adored her for that. Eventually, the morning turned into evening. After consultation with her many advisors and a wonderful meal, Queen Nefertiti bid her guests good night. The queen retired to the main palace terrace to meditate and ponder her plans for the next day. 2 moons shone brightly in the night sky as the queen gazed out again at the lands that made up some of the Isonian Empire. Reclining in her favorite terrace chair and closing her eyes to shield the bright moonlight, the queen journeyed inside her mind to that special place that was always void of all numerous thoughts that filled her head most of the time. The special region in her mind brought her much peace, and she had learned how to enter this place at will. As the queen moved into this powerful space in her mind, her body would shudder from what felt like mighty jolts of energy entering it before a special brightness would engulf her inner paradise. Sensing an outside presence, Queen Nefertiti slowly came out of her meditation to find one of her most trusted assistants waiting to communicate with her. "My queen, your baths have been drawn, as requested," spoke Adoran. "Very well, Adoran, thank you." The air was fragrant from the smell of articulous tree blossoms floating in the soaking bath as 2 beautiful women waited naked in the cleaning bath for their queen. The queen smiled and nodded at the 2 young women as she disrobed and entered the bath. Using fragrant lycicium soap, the beautiful young ladies began to lightly swab the queen's body with the soapy lather. Wonderful smells filled the queen's senses as she lavished in the warm, soapy water. Feeling a tingling in her most private areas, Queen Nepherides exclaimed to the two young women, I believe we should retire to the soaking bath and ignite our climactic powers to the universe. The two women giggled and nodded in agreement as they and the queen rose to join in the soaking bath. Rising out of the cleaning bath, Queen Nepherides was a stunning woman whose prime physical shape revealed exquisite feminine curves. The queen's beauty matched her intelligence in every way. Breathing in the wonderful articulous blossoms, her heart beat with excitement for the coming sexual copula with her willing assistance. As the three beautiful women began kissing each other's bodies, the queen suddenly felt a dizziness and ringing in her head. The sounds got louder as blackness overtook her mind before she went unconscious and floated to the bottom of the bath. As she had encountered in many of her meditations, Queen Nepherides experienced a black void. Soon, a bright light shone in her mind, and a voice inside her head spoke, I'm sorry I must leave you for a while. Please continue exploring the teachings you learned so long ago. These teachings will help you fight the coming evil you will face. Frantically, the young women raised their queen from the bottom of the bath. One of the young assistants cried out, My queen, are you all right? Jolted from the inner plane of her mind, the queen looked dazedly at her helpers before responding, Yes, I am fine now. Thank you. Queen Nepherides rose from the bath to be dried off and escorted to her sleeping chambers. Lying in bed that night, the queen pondered the inner voice in her head as she contemplated what possible evil could be coming.